What is up, YouTube, fish tube, and fish fam? This is yours truly, Rob, with DeFreese Aquariums. Today I'm coming to you from the great outdoors. No lake, no pond, no truck, no car. Special shout out to my bro, Aquariumcop. This one's actually for you. When I did the unboxing of the Beamswork D80, I got a comment from Aquariumcop about, he said, I miss you, bro. The videos in the car / truck at lunchtime. Wait till his truck goes by. All right. So for those that haven't gone back and looked, for those that may not know, when I used to work here nearby, I used to take my hour lunch at a local lake, mini lake, and do videos, and sometimes, you know, join in live streams and stuff. So the camera would, you know, 1 minute point at me, spin it around and show the lake. Where I work now, there's kind of, I'll say, a mud puddle, and I was actually trying to do this video before my phone started acting up, because of Aquariumcop saying, you know, that he missed you. And, you know, I kind of missed doing this myself. There's been a lot of things that have gone on as of last summer to the present that, you know, kind of took the wind out of my sails, and not really, you know, not wanting to do it. So there's no sense in me just trying to put content out there for the sake of putting content out there, and not giving you something that I want to do, something that I'm passionate about, or something that I want to share with you, my subscribers. I'd rather come to you correct than, you know, just throw stuff at you and say, hey, I did my 5 videos a week, or whatever the case is. But as I was going to videotape, I was going to take a walk and stand in front of the little mud hole and say to Aquariumcop that, you know, the coronavirus hit, world's going crazy, Mother Nature's going crazy. You know, here it was May, we had snow the first week of May here. Some areas around me got upwards of 8 inches. Luckily, I only got a dusting here. And then point to the pond and go, you know, remember that lake? This is what it is now. So unfortunately, my phone was messing up, and I didn't get that video that I wanted. Plus, now with New York coming off of pause slowly, there's a lot of traffic in my industrial park on that backside. So I figured, you know, I'll just do an impromptu video. So with that, even though I haven't been doing videos, you know, you've seen a few here and there, I still have been doing things. I had what I call a 10-gallon skank tank with blackbeard algae that I was going to do a video, which is kind of saved. It's in the can. I just have to go through it. Utilizing the Aquariumcop phosphate pads and things like that to remove the diatom algae, which was in the tank as well, and my thoughts on if it worked or not, and also on my cichlid tank. So that's kind of there. Whether I do something with it, you know, we'll see what happens. I also had in that tank a lot of ocean blue guppies that I got from Royal Aquatics several years ago, and they're actually doing well. So a friend of mine that I met at a fish store said her neighbor was trying to, you know, get rid of her tank. She wanted space in the garage, so she had a 55 with a 48-inch night crew light and the stand. And she says, "Can you come get it?" And this lady always hooked me up with stuff nonstop, cichlids, which is actually how I got cichlids started. So I got the tank, and it was just kind of sitting in the corner of my living room over there behind that wall, and I had set it up to rescue more cichlids. She contacted me and said, you know, she's done. She just wants her few small tanks and her few small fish. Could I take the cichlids? So I did, and of course, whatever it is with her cichlids, they breed nonstop, almost to the point where they become mutt fish, you know. And I held on to them, and was in the local fish store, and overheard a conversation with a kind of irate customer. So, you know, me being me, I walked over and got involved in a conversation to see what was going on. I actually videotaped some of the exchange for the owner, which I know. And there was some I think confusion on the policies, which they do a special. It seems that they had gotten some misinformation with regards to medication and lost upwards of almost $1,000 of fish. So I had said to him, I said, regardless, I said, I'll pass this along to the owner, just, to see what's going on. So I did that, and I don't think anything really came about it, which is kind of sad, because here in the fish fam, we respect one another. We try to help out, and we always try to put the right foot forward. So I had told them, I said, I'm sorry to hear that they have this experience and lost a fish. And I said, you know what, I have whatever number was that I had cichlids that you could have to restart your tank. They were absolutely thrilled. So a few days later, I managed to tear apart my entire tank, catch them, and deliver them to them. Got a text message a few days later that they love them, they're great, that they're doing well. I mentioned that, but here's something really weird. In order to catch some of the smaller ones and a few of the babies that I had in there, I broke the tank down. I actually brought everything out here, the wood, the fake plant stuff that was in there, put it all out here on the table, and I left it out here for a few hours because I wanted to clean the tank. I was going to let it run because I knew I was going to do something with it. Right now it was bare bottom. So I decided I'm going to take the guppies out of the 10 gallon and I'm going to put them in the 55. So, and it was cold at the time that I left everything out here. Took them out, put everything back in the tank, moved the guppies over, and within a few days, boom, population explosion. Ocean blue guppies everywhere. So on the 55, they started to breed or spawn or have, live births, in which the larger tank allowed for them to do. Smaller tank, I would get a few, but it seemed like for whatever reason there were only a few versus the many in this 55-gallon tank. So that's nothing odd, you guys all do this, you all have your projects. What's amazing is I see two fish out of the norm in the tank. Now in the skank tank I did have what they called a wild-caught neon batis. Weird looking fish, beautiful in its own right, but doesn't look like any batis that I've ever seen. So I thought, okay, maybe this one, when I got it, was pregnant and that it had babies. So a couple of weeks go by, I'm starting to look and I'm like, they don't look like batis, they look like cichlids. Where did they come from? There was nothing in this tank. Was an egg stuck in one of the pieces of driftwood or on the plants? So if that was the case, that just goes to show you there's some serious resiliency in their eggs. So needless to say, they are still in the tank with the guppies. I think what made me realize that they weren't batis or anything was some of the really tiny fry. There was one hanging out of the fish's mouth. It did get away. I try to feed them accordingly, so they're actually not bothering the fry or the baby guppies that are in there, which I'm going to rectify that problem. They'll get moved into the 75 cichlid tank. But I thought that was really odd that here these fish are in this tank when there was nothing in there. They sat out here in the cold on a plant, plastic plant, or on the driftwood. So I did that. I set up the 29-gallon nano shrimp tank and nano fish tank, which I just did the video that I mentioned, the Nycrew Classic LED, as well as the DA80 beams work light, which is also what prompted me to do this impromptu video. So with that, what else did I do? Kind of did an experiment when it came to the shrimp, because I still had that 7.5, 8-gallon tank that I got from Ken Lee from Twin City Guppies, who is also listed on the Aquarium Co-op site, where I was having issues trying to keep the shrimp over the last year. I would get them, actually probably 2 years, I would get them, population would start to grow, everything looked good, and then little by little they all died off. So I wanted to try to find out why I couldn't keep shrimp. So I started watching different people's videos and doing a little bit of research, which is the key to your success as well. If you're something you're just getting into, research whatever it is, be it shrimp, plants, whatever. So what I did was I took some of the shrimp that I got off of Aquabid and split them, and I put a few in the little tank and a few in this 29-gallon. So it didn't dawn on me, as I said prior, the soil. I use contra soil. It's a pH buffer. Now, neons can handle some pretty extreme changes, but I think because the soil, when I first did the tank, really hadn't started its buffering process. As time went on, it started to lower the pH, making it more acidic. And there were probably only 1 or 2 that survived. So now when I did this little experiment, I put stuff in the 29. I did have, probably 1 or 2 or 3, over the several weeks that they were in there, kind of die, which I think had a lot to do with a water change, thinking the temperature was where it was, utilizing the thermometer, and it being off. But they're actually doing quite well, the originals as well as the ones that were already in the 29. And I also see that in the other tank they're doing well. Why are they doing well? Well, I utilized, and you can find it on Aquarium Co-op site, is the Wonder Shell. I know a lot of people may take eggshells and grind them up, clean them, grind them up, put them in there for calcium. But I got a sign from a snail that hitchhiked in. I could tell in my 55 through the years when the KH, GH were kind of changing, because their shells would get really, brittle and didn't look too well. So I read the information on the Wonder Shell, read a couple reviews and how well it worked. So I actually got 2, and I put 1 in the small tank, and then I put 1 in the 29. So now all of a sudden fish are starting to survive in the smaller tank. I did have a GH-KH liquid test that the person I mentioned that gave me the cichlids and hooked me up with this other 55 had. So when I started testing and realizing, adding the droppers and counting, that there was no way that this water was where the test kit said it was. It should have been a rock in that tank, not water. So it's expired. So threw it out. And I don't really test. I only test when I see something that may be kind of off, or see a change in behavior in the fish, or just periodically to see that everything is doing well within the tank. Being that my tanks are planted, the plants do a lot of the work for me. I don't gravel vac, and if I do, it's just around the outskirts, not near the plants. Natural food and fertilizer for your plants. So they seem to do well, and the parameters stay in check. Just occasionally, I will test just to make sure my nitrates aren't climbing too high, because there are fish, we want to take care of them. So it seemed like the Wonder Shell increased the hardness in the water. I noticed that the ram's horn that was in both tanks, their shells actually started looking better. The one in the small tank was almost like a reflective, shiny, almost silverish type shell. And I could care less for snails, but I picked them up years ago as a hitchhiker, and I had quite a few in my 55 community. And then I realized, they're helping out, and I didn't catch them. Occasionally I would take the babies and throw them in the other tank and feed my little pea puffers. So, circle of life, as it may be. And, I use those as kind of a barometer of, is there something going in the tank? The shells aren't looking right. They're lethargic. Let me, check my parameters. So that's kind of what was going on. Some gardening, some grass mowing now, which now that I've cut it, it'll be a never-ending thing until winter time hits again. So, you know, seeing that comment and thinking about it, you know, and I can remember several years ago where it was myself, it was Chris Lawson from Multi-Tank Addictions, it was Aquariumcop, Big Easy, and probably one or two other people. We did a live stream, and it was all of us. And it was funny because it was in August, and it was my birthday weekend, so we go camping every year. So here I am sitting in this campground, and it's 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, and we're all on this live stream, and we're dying, and we're laughing and carrying on and having a good time. You know, I'm sitting there having my coffee by the fire, you know. For a lot of you guys and gals that know Big Easy, you know he's crazy, and it's those magical moments that we as a fish fam share with a lot of folks. I was joking around on Susan from SLC Aquatics doing a commercial. I guess my hidden talent is being able to be a DJ, and never quite made it that way. I did do a half-hour one-day show for a local radio station. It was a contest during the holidays down the road, and you know, I was chosen, so you know, I had fun with that. But it turns out that while I was playing around, she actually took a snippet or a cameo of whatever it was I was doing for her channel, and she utilized that in her video. I think it was one of her premieres of her video. And the next thing I know, she's telling me, she says, there's a little something for you. And I was like, what do you mean there's a little something? Turns out she sent me 20 bucks into my PayPal account, which I really appreciate, you know, but I wasn't looking at doing it for money. I do it because I have fun with it. And of course, this isn't my DJ voice. But, you know, through the years, and it's probably 5 years, 6 years, somewhere in there now, being a part of the fish fam and watching it grow from just a handful to what it's become, you know, is awesome. And the fact that Aquariumcop stopped by and, you know, watched the video and made that comment, I figured, you know what, let me do this and kind of get back to my roots. And hopefully you're watching this Aquariumcop because this one was for you. For you guys that have not checked out his channel, go check it out. I will actually leave a link in the descriptions. You know, sometimes it's downright comical because he'll sit with a mask on and he'll be bobbing his head and, you know, lights going on and everything, and his head floating around in the camera. So, you know, so many people, so much talent, so much knowledge, you know, and in this day with the coronavirus keeping everybody at home except for me, I've worked through the whole thing. You know, you have your fish tanks there and your fish to keep you busy, probably do things that you've kind of left to the wayside because you were busy with life in general. But with that being said, I've babbled on long enough. Hopefully anyone who is watching this has stayed safe. Protect yourself, protect your loved ones until this thing is finally gone, or reduced down to a very manageable, safe level. And I really appreciate you guys subscribing and liking, sharing, as well as commenting. And I really do appreciate it. The Fish Fam did do something back during the holidays with Christmas cards. And like I said, a lot of things have happened. And I actually have the Christmas card. So kind of think of it as Christmas in the summer. So I have everything ready, everything is signed, sealed. I just got to put a stamp on them and send them out. My deepest apologies for not getting them out in December when they should have went out. For those few, and I know you get tired of hearing it, the Team Green bandanas, I still had a few left. I did save the messages, I just have to go back in and find them. So I have everything to get those out. So, you know, instead of sitting on my laurels and not doing anything, it's time to kind of get back into gear and get things done. So with that, I wish you a great and enjoyable weekend. much honor to those who have fought for our freedoms to be able to do this Memorial Day weekend. And don't forget, when you have that barbecue, it's because of those men and women that have fought for our freedoms, who have passed, is what this holiday is about. I know a lot of people will say Happy Memorial Day. It's not really a happy occasion. So with that, just remember, when you're flipping that burger, slow cooking that brisket, that you just give a moment and give thanks to the veterans who have gone. And that's why we have this Memorial Day weekend, as a way to remember those who have gone. Then with that being said, we have Veterans Day to thank the vets that have served, that are still with us, and those that are still serving today. So with that being said, I will thank you for your services to allow us to enjoy these freedoms. I also remember those who have passed. It's Rob with DeFreese Aquariums. Peace. Oh, keep those sleeves wet.